Hey everybody, we are back with another episode of Can't Stop Snapping, the official podcast of MarvelSnapZone.com. Hey, this is part 2 of a 2-part episode where I am with Kraken Null creating a tier list of where he thinks every card ranks that's currently in the game and in its current form. If you haven't listened to part 1, make sure to go listen to that now. It should be available on the same platform that you're listening to this right now. And because these episodes were recorded as one long conversation, and because I'm recording these intros for both part 1 and part 2, I don't have any other new news or anything to share that I didn't already share in the part 1 episode. So we will jump in quickly here. Thank you for listening as always, and let's jump into the conversation. Okay, we've got Iron Fist.
That's a tough one. I think Iron Fist does belong in the A, only because without Iron Fist, I don't think the move decks get enough movement. I think you have to have Iron Fist to hit one of your move cards during a game to be successful.
Yeah, it's kind of that low cost enabler.
Yeah.
Iron Heart.
Just B. Like, she gets played quite often. Actually, no, I will give her the benefit of the doubt. She gets played quite often and is a little bit more than a support card, especially in like the negative decks or like these like swarm the board, play her last, but boost up a bunch of stuff. Anything that's got Iron Man in it. Mm-hmm. So I'm actually gonna put her in the A tier, believe it or not.
There you go. Well then, Iron Man.
S. I think Iron Man is S tier. Doubling the power of a lane is insane.
Yeah. Now, huge. One of the things I've seen, if you can get like an Iron Man with Arnim Zolo, I mean, we've already Zolo, but
yeah,
huge. I mean, I think that's one of the best 5 cost cards you could split.
Yeah, they could. Yeah, being at 5 is a little crazy to me. That could be a 6 easily, and I wouldn't even fret. Like it could be a 6 easily.
Yeah. Jessica Jones.
I think it's a D tier. I've never played the card.
Yeah. Yeah. There's other cards that's like you play a card here and it like buffs it, but hers is like don't play a card, right? So then it's like, well, is that really that great?
She's also like a 10. She's like a 5/10. But like Rescue's like a 4/9 now, and you play on top of her and get a bonus. I just think maybe before Rescue's buff, Jessica would have been a little higher. But I think Rescue just like pushed her down even further from like C to D for me.
Yeah. Okay, Jubilee.
I think Jubilee fell from like S to like an A. There was like the interaction with her and Chavez where like she like pulled Chavez like a solid like 90% of the time.
I remember those days.
But I still think on curve, a 4-drop that's able to pull out like a 5 or a 6 is pretty good.
Yeah.
Or even another 4 for that matter. Like
with Lockjaw, it's great because she can go back.
Yeah, with Lockjaw, she's insane.
Yeah. Juggernaut.
A B tier. Kind of fits like that Drax role for me in like the Storm deck.
Yeah. Yeah, he plays good in a couple of decks, but he's more of an enabler card.
Yeah.
Kazar.
Kazar probably went from like an S to a B for me because like I think back when you just play a flood of 1-drops and then like the Dracula and the Infernaut or whatever, like that deck was insane. But now now I don't think you're really playing it.
Yeah, I see bots play it.
Yeah, bots play it all the time.
Killmonger.
I think Killmonger's an A.
Yeah.
Killmonger just cleans up so much stuff.
Yeah. That feels bad when you're obviously playing a lot of one cost cards you're hoping to keep on the board. Kingpin.
Even after they tried to change him, I think he's a C. I don't think he's. I've tried to make that deck work.
I don't know.
I think I made it worse unless you like hide him under like Invisible Woman, which just speaks to Invisible Woman's A tier.
Yeah. I'd agree with the C tier. I don't think it's quite a D tier, but
yeah,
not great. Claw.
B. I mean, he can see some plays, some port on some ongoings. He can kind of be played in the same deck with like the Ebony Maw, to like play like maybe Ebony in the mid and like Claw on the left, and you can feed more power into that mid lane, kind of sneakily.
Yeah. Okay, up next we've got Korg.
Korg is like an A tier up there with Iceman. Similar disruption, although I think Korg is better against like combo decks, and Iceman's better against like decks that want to curve.
Yeah. Now I love decks where I can have Korg, Iceman, and who am I forgetting? Other one drop 2
Like
cost. Yondu's, yeah. Yeah. When I play all 3 of them in a game, I'm like, man, I just feel
sounds like you that. Like Bounce Bros.
Craven.
I think Craven's A tier now after he was buffed.
Yeah.
Like he's about as pivotal to move as like Human Torch is.
Yep. Can definitely get relatively big with just a couple of moves. So
yeah.
Lady Sif.
Sif goes up in the A tier with Colleen. They kind of serve like the same-ish purpose for me. Obviously Colleen can hit like your Swarm, while Sif can hit your like Apocalypse. Sif is also better, of course, in like the Hela deck, because if you run like Death, she'll target the Death, not the Hela, etc.
Yeah. Okay, up next we have Leader.
Leader's a solid A. I think he's good in specific decks. Obviously, you don't just slap him in any deck. Although I did learn a funny thing today. Like if you leader their Taskmaster, your Taskmaster copy is like the leader, weirdly enough. So you don't get like the big thing they copy. So I mean, I thought that was a pretty funny interaction.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought of that. I mean, it makes sense, but
it makes sense after I saw it happen. But I was expecting it to copy like the big thing they played.
Yeah. Interested to hear your thoughts on Leech, where he goes in the tier list.
I think Leech could. I think Leech is a C. I'm just gonna say it and then talk about it. I think Leech could easily be like a 4-2 and come down, because like
I think the high cost is holding him back.
The high cost,
but then I worry if you can get him out tier early, it's too powerful.
I do too. Yeah, I worry like if you ramp into him on like 3, that might be too much. But then they've only got what, like 4 cards in hand by that turn.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Are you a Lizard believer after the Lizard?
I think Lizard's pretty close to an A tier.
Oh, really?
I put him in the B tier, but in like the Wong Spectrum decks, or like any deck that you know that they're not going to fill that lane, you can play him kind of late, or you can play him in like the Sarah Zoo decks where you know where to place him to keep him at, like, he ends up being like a 1/5 in a Sarah deck.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Okay, Lockjaw. A lot of cool decks with Lockjaw.
Yeah, I don't know if the Lockjaw decks for me are like S tier, because that would be dependent on whether or not I think Lockjaw is an S. I don't think he makes it. I think he's solid. He's A. He's the key card of the Lockjaw decks, I guess. Him and like.
But you need other.
You need other
low cost cards and high cost cards around him, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, Magic.
Magic is S tier.
Yes, I was gonna be concerned if you didn't say that.
Magic is. I don't want to play the like how do I fix it conversation, because there's like a bajillion different things you could do, but just surprise, like you can kind of see it coming if you're like playing against like a Sarah deck or a negative deck or something like that. But just slap in somebody with a surprise turn 7, and then you've got things to follow it up with, like Enchantress or Killmonger, or just depends on what deck you're in. But it's just it's infuriating, and it's infuriating even when I play it. So
yeah. Okay, Magneto.
Oh, Magneto. started to fall off of playing him. I think he's still fine in like he's fine in like the lane controlling decks. He's fine as like a 6-drop that you just can throw into like your Hella deck. I mean, he is a strong 6, so I think he is an A. I just don't think he can ever, in my mind, go past an A. I can see him actually dropping down.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I don't think he's not that one that's like, because sometimes it can not do you good, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's lost me games before too.
Yeah. Okay, Mantis.
Mantis, in my opinion, Mantis is like a C. I don't even play her in Bounce Bros. I don't even play her in like the dub. I guess she could go into like the steal your deck kind of stuff with Wong, like we were talking about earlier. But even then, I think you cut her from some of the other stuff.
Yeah, I think it's since she's a low cost, you want to play early in the game, and that's when you have the lowest chance of guessing right where your opponent's going to play. And,
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, Maximus.
I think Maximus is actually pretty good. I don't think he's past B yet. There's a few shells that you can play him in. You can play him like on the final turn with like Sarah as like a 2/7. You can play him in like if you're playing Ronin. I've seen people play him on like the final turn to boost the cards in your opponent's hand. But I don't think he goes below a B, and I don't think he's exactly a C. But I'm a believer.
I'd agree with that. Medusa.
A D.
Okay, I was thinking you're gonna go C, but I probably agree with the D. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she was fun in like the beginning when you're like just starting off the game, but like there's 0 point in running her once you start getting a collection.
Yeah. I wonder if she'll see any change in the future. Mr. Fantastic.
I've started to grow on him. I would have put him at a C maybe like 2 weeks ago, but I think he actually moved up to a B because in the lane lock decks are starting to catch on, and spreading what's like 6 power for 3.
Yeah.
Across all 3 lanes, so you're putting 2 in each lane. If you play him in the middle, if you play him on one of the sides, of course you're only getting like 4 power. But I think in like those style decks, when you want to like squeeze over every little point into like lanes that have already been locked out, I think he's pretty good.
Yep. Hey all, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And best of all, Anchor is completely free. Download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started today. Okay, Mr. Negative.
S.
Yep.
It's like an entire deck, and without the deck, it kind of... Okay, there's 2 decks he's in right now. There's the Sarah negative deck. I don't know if you've seen that one, but that one is absolutely busted. You can draw either negative or Sarah or both, or even without them, the deck seems to function just fine. And I just think that negative is insane. I don't honestly think he should be nerfed. I just think they have to be careful what they print in the future, though.
You have to think about if the balance against that.
Yeah, which could make him nerfed in the future, but for now, we'll call it what it is.
Yeah. Okay, Mr. Sinister.
I think he's a C tier. I think back in the Nakia, I think he's worse than Brood, but I think back in the like Nakia days, like Okoye, Nakia, stuff like that, he would have probably been B. But
yeah, definitely has kind of gone off a cliff there. Misty Knight.
Misty's like one of the better vanillas because she's a 1-drop and she can sometimes be like a 1/6. So I think she actually goes up into a B. Yeah,
I think the vanilla lower cost cards are better. I agree with that. Mojo.
Mojo's gonna be in A. I know we kind of compared him to Ant-Man. Ant-Man still is pretty good in like the swarmy decks and can be good in conjunction with Mojo. I just think Mojo's a little bit better because it's like a 2 mana 8 power.
Yeah. How do you
gotta
feel
line it
about
up.
Moon Girl? Oh yeah. No, I agree. I mean, whenever I play with Mojo, he feels very powerful.
Moon
Still.
Girl, Moon Girl kind of. Moon Girl gets to sit with her friend Devil Dinosaur and the Bee. I think that she enables like death to double death kind of every now
Yep.
and then, but like you don't see it that often. You also see people play like Hood, get a demon and then copy the demon with like some Deadpools, but I just don't think it's. I think that's the suboptimal list.
Yep. Okay, we got Moon Knight next.
Moon Knight's just a filler. You can kind of choose between Gambit, Moon Knight, etc. Just like when you're building your like Hello discard or whatnot.
So you put him probably in a B.
Yeah, put him in a B.
Okay, up next we've got Morbius.
I think Morbius gets to sit up next to Apocalypse. I think Morbius is better than like Dracula in that deck right now. I know that, obviously Dracula can eat the big power of the Apocalypse, but just being able to chain off a bunch of discards is pretty nutty. And Morbius grows like +2 for each discard, so I think he's pretty.
Yeah, the old collector of discard cards.
Yeah, the old collector. Yeah.
Okay, Morph is an interesting one.
Morph is starting to see a little bit more play. I think it's too high rolly for me. Yeah. Although you can get some cool stuff off, but I think he just goes in the B.
Yeah. Yep. I think he's just not consistent enough.
Yeah.
Multiple Man.
I think Multiple Man is like the C tier of move, actually.
Interesting. Wow.
I think he clogs up too much of the board. And it has been...
Especially if you don't get him buffed a lot, right?
Exactly. Then he's just a bunch of vanilla 3s, and I don't get to play around with my spaces as much. I know, like I said, I just started like yesterday, so I'm not like a move aficionado or anything, but I put in about 100 or so games today, and I just think it was the worst card.
Interesting. Yeah. Mysterio.
Dude, Mysterio is really good. I think Mysterio's A. Mysterio gets played alongside like Angela Bishop.
Yep.
And triggers both of them no matter like where it's played at. Obviously, because it plays in all 3 lanes, but it tricks bots too.
Yes. Yeah. No, that's not one I have yet, but it's on my most wanted list. I think Mysterio is a really cool card. The one that's number 1 on my most wanted card list is Mystique, which is
I think Mystique is actually an S tier card.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
Because she can copy any
ongoing. I think there's just so many good combos you can do her with.
Yeah, like she enables the insane combos, which is
Cerebro, Patriot,
Devil
Dino.
Yeah, Devil Dino, Iron Man.
Yep. Huge. Nakia in her current state.
D.
Whew. Yeah.
I think she's just got gutted. I don't think you'd have to play.
Honestly, I'm like, when was the last time I saw somebody play with Nakia in the last couple of weeks?
I actually saw it today, but it didn't.
Oh,
it wasn't good.
Yeah. I've maybe seen 1 or 2 matches in several weeks.
You'd have to hold her a lot longer these days and probably play her close to like turn 5 because you're like trying to get your hand down perfectly to what you want to get buffed and stuff. It just doesn't feel worth it.
It just feels bad. Namor.
I think Namor's a D too. Like even in the ongoing like Spectrum deck, I'm not playing Namor because it's like a 4/5 unless you like lock yourself out of a lane, then it's like a 4/10, I guess. But
which is like in today's kind of meta, that's not enough to win a lane a lot of the time.
Not enough at all.
Yeah. Especially if you get Goblin, right?
Yeah.
Nightcrawler.
I think Nightcrawler's an S tier.
Oh, nice.
Like Nightcrawler it can come down. Obviously, Killmonger's the thing. But a lot of these 1-drops we have in the A tier just get smashed by Killmonger too. But Nightcrawler is just the ability to come down early, and then if he gets like put over in a lane that's bad, you can move him out, or if it's like a Sanctum Sanctorum, you can move him in. I just think that's pretty invaluable in a game like this with 3 locations.
Yeah. Okay, we've got Nova next.
Nova has fallen in favor. Nova is
Used to be S tier at the beginning of the game.
Used to be an S tier. I think he's B tier because he only sees like 2 decks, like Destroyer and Destroy.
Yep.
But it's a pretty good card, but it's also easily cut. So
yep. Yeah, definitely not a must include anymore. Odin.
I think Odin is an A tier. He enables a few cool things. You could do like the Sif Ghost Rider Odin and like kind of like lock up the lane, which is kind of scary. Or you could do like Doom Odin Doom retrigger. You could do like a Jubilee retrigger. I've seen him do like Killmonger retriggers. I've seen all sorts of cool stuff with Odin. He's just a good enabler.
Yeah. Okay, up next we have a Koye.
I think she's better than Nakia by a long shot now. Even she's gone through like 3 iterations, but I think she's still a B. She's good to play on 2 still, and then just like everything you draw after her just has the +1 power.
Yeah. Definitely, you can still get some extra power on the board. Omega Red.
Omega Red is B.
I've seen some mixed feelings about.
I mean, I don't know if you've seen the thing I posted on Twitter about Omega Red, where I had like 2,000 something.
Yeah, I did actually see that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. It's a trap kind of, but it's fun.
Yeah. Well, Onslaught. Speaking of ongoing cards.
Yeah, Onslaught is like King Papa of the Onslaught cards. I think he goes in A tier because he just enables so many busted things with the combos.
Yeah, I mean, if you're like me, you don't have Mystique. I mean, anything you want to do with ongoing, right? You're doing Onslaught instead of Mystique. Patriot.
Okay, I think Patriot's an A. I don't think the deck is like S tier at all, but I do think the deck has legs. Anything that comes out in the future that's like tokens or vanilla are gonna obviously benefit Patriot. So I think it's A. It could one day be S.
More options around it.
Yeah.
Polaris, as far as kind of disruption move cards.
I like her a lot, but I think I like her more than most people. I'm gonna just. I wish she moved all and not just one.
Kind of like Magneto, but for 1 to 2 months.
So I'm going to put her at B. I would love to see her buffed, even if it's like maybe make her cost like even like 4, but she moves all. I think that would be better.
I could see that. Okay, Professor X.
Oh, God, I used to hate Professor Cheese, but I think with Daredevil coming out, and this Destroyer deck, and I played it from like 70 to like 92. I think Professor X is insane. I would put him at like an A+.
Yeah.
With Daredevil. I guess that's the asterisk there.
Yeah. Okay, we've got Psylocke.
She's just a B. I mean, she enables some cool like 4 cost.
You want her with negative. You want her with a couple of things, right?
You want her with negative. You want her with Jubilee, stuff like that. Wong.
Okay, one that I know a lot of people don't like. Wonder what you think or where you think they're tiered. Quake.
Okay, I played her a ton actually in like a Kingpin deck, but that doesn't say much. I think she fits with Kingpin as like close. I kind of wish you didn't have to play her mid, but I also understand she can't be too powerful. It is fun to like flip the zones when like the super flow is played, but people aren't playing a whole lot like 1 through 3 right now.
Yeah.
So I think she loses some points there. If people were flooding the board a little more, playing in like all lanes, I think she'd be a little higher.
Agreed. Quicksilver. You already said you don't love Quicksilver.
Yeah, Quicksilver gets to go down there with Domino in the sea.
Yeah. Yep.
Not much else to say there.
Yeah. I think I mostly see bots play Quicksilver. I feel like I'm seeing less and less humans play Quicksilver. So, Quinjet, an interesting card.
I think the power of Quinjet died slightly when Collector died. I still think it's actually pretty scary in the future. I think it's a B right now, but it's a high B because like I have seen some of the cards that are, out there coming. And I think that in the future, Quinjet's going to be kind of crazy.
There's going to be even more options. Yeah, it's one of those. We've talked about several cards today that like can only get better the more options they have.
Exactly. Yeah.
Rescue with the most recent change.
Yeah, the 4/4 that gets +5 when a card is played after. I think she's an A tier. I think she enabled actually like a lot of things. Like I played her in the Deathwave deck. Because you can just play her on 4 and then wave on 5, and it gives you like a better early board presence than you used to have. Obviously, you're playing like your Hood, your Bucky, your Carnage, right? That's like your 1, your 2, 3, and then on your so you got like one lane kind of buckled up with like 12 power, and then you get to put another. What is that, like 12 more power?
Yeah,
and another lane or the same lane. And that's 24 on 1, and then you wave and you play like a Chavez Death.
Yeah,
and then I've also started playing. I played her from 70 to like 92 in my Destroyer deck because you play like Daredevil. You can play her in a lane, and then you play like a Professor X on top of her, and it's a 12-point swing.
Yeah,
definitely. Same with Hobgoblin. You can play Hobgoblin on top of her.
I've seen her play tick up a lot since the change.
Yeah, she's insane.
Rhino.
Oh, Rhino's like a C tier for me. Scarlet Witch is just like infinitely better, and the only deck this goes in is like Bro.
Yeah, that's the only deck I've really seen it played in. Interestingly enough, but it's destroying a location. I guess just doesn't feel that game changing right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Rocket Raccoon.
I think Rocket fell from A to B for me because of the Kazoo deck. I think in the Kazoo deck he was better. I think he's still fine in like the Bounce Bros deck, but like easily cuttable.
Yep. Yeah, not as great as some of the other ones we talked about, like Iceman. Yeah. Rock Slide.
I started to love Rock Slide a little more, but I don't think he passes B for me. Cow would probably kill me if you heard that, but I still think like it's close. It's like Super Korg, right? It's actually, if you play it on curve and you're playing against like a Deathwave deck and they haven't drawn their death yet, I mean, it's pretty good disruption. It's good against combo decks.
Yeah. Okay, we've got Rogue.
I think Rogue fits up in the S tier, honestly.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Because I played the crap out of her back in like the heavy Devil Dino Nova days. It kind of died down slightly, and then he started picking back up a lot with his negative Sarah deck, because just being able to steal a Wong to stop their Wong combo, or an Iron Man to flip that lane for yourself, or just like anything, even an Iron, stealing an Ant-Man,
stealing an Invisible Woman.
Yeah.
There's so many combos you can really mess up for your.
Oh, I hate to backtrack a little bit. Speaking of Invisible Woman, you should try Polarising an Invisible Woman.
Yeah, that has happened to me.
It ruins the whole.
It happened to me today, actually. Now that you say that, and they had cloning bats, so then they played Polaris the next turn. Man, it was not working out great for me. Let's go, Ronin the Accuser.
Close. I think Ronin. I think he's a B. I think he fits like next to Maximus because it's kind of like a little package in its own. I actually think that like Ronin should be a 3, while Devil was a 4.
Because you have less control.
Yeah, you have less control.
I'd agree with that. Honestly, I think he'd be powerful, but not too powerful.
Yeah.
Saber Tooth.
Saber Tooth can go in the B. I think he's got like. Actually, I think Saber Tooth is actually going to go in the C for me. Like I play him in a deck, and then I like never want him in any other deck, and that's like the Venom Destroy deck.
Yeah, where you want that extra buff on Venom, right?
That's pretty much it. I was going to put him at B. I think Yeah, well, I guess we're getting to him still, but I think Wolverine probably slides up.
Where would we put Sandman?
I think Sandman's growing on a lot of people. I think Sandman's an A. Sandman slows down negative decks. He slows down Sarah decks. You can only play one card per turn, so if you slap this down on 4, they have no way to get rid of it. And now what? You can't dump your hand anymore.
Yep. Yeah. Definitely a little bit of a rough go after that. Scarlet Witch.
I think she's a solid A. She's a 2/3 now, which I think helped her better for like the Cerebro deck, but it also she could just slide into literally like anything you're building. I think.
Yeah.
Like if you're ever like unsure of the last slot, I guess Scarlet Witch is not a bad choice. She can get rid of any unfavorable location. She can also she's high ceiling though. She can also flip on you.
Yeah. How do you feel about Scorpion in current state 2/2?
I think Scorpion gets to hang out with Korg and Iceman.
Yeah.
I think the ability, it only feels bad when you like hit the Green Goblin and their Hobgoblin and they flip it back on you and for an extra point. But
for every time that happens, you're gonna have 10 other times, right?
10 other times where you just like
you can almost call
you -1 their Iron Man
yourself, right?
Yeah.
If you're hitting 4 cards in their hand. Hey all, I wanted to take a quick moment to talk to you about MarvelSnapZone.com. Marvel Snap Zone is a one-stop shop for everything Marvel Snap on the internet. They have new articles nearly every day that cover deck building, strategy, card breakdowns, etc. They have a great collection tracker tool and a deck list builder that works off of that collection tracker so that you can know what decks you can build with your current card collection. They have guides and deck lists for all level of players and all collection level of players. Make sure to go to MarvelSnapZone.com and check it out now. Okay, Sentinel.
Is it weird? I used to think Sentinel was probably S. I think Sentinel's like a C now.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, right? Collector and...
It gets played in like one deck, which is the people holding on to Collector.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Unfortunately,
I guess
Sentinel was my most split card.
Oh, that's so sad.
At one point now, I never play with my beautiful gold Sentinel. Okay, where did you put Sarah?
S tier.
Yeah, that's
busted. She's insane.
Yep.
Cute. Mana reduction's always crazy in card games,
especially with only 6 turns, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huge power. Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi goes down in B. It's not, as far as tech cards go, I think I like him the least. I do play him currently in my negative deck, but that's like the flex slot. I think against like humans, he's good. Against bots, he's bad. But I just think Enchantress and Killmonger have like way more targets. So I think he goes in the B.
Yeah.
I consider those 3 like the tech package.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. It's like, what do I need to be blocking with, right?
Yeah.
What are my defense cards? Okay, Shocker.
I think Shocker can hang out with Misty Knight in the B because like the 2 low cost vanillas.
They both definitely feel better than some of the other vanilla.
Yeah, the rest.
Okay, you've mentioned Spectrum a couple times. Where are you putting Spectrum?
I still don't think that deck is quite there. I'm not going to put her in A yet, but I've seen the tick up. I don't know who popularized it recently, but I have seen the tick up. I've seen like a Sandman version, but I've also seen like the play every tech card that has ongoing in Marvel Snap plus Spectrum at the end.
That's what I've seen more. Yeah.
+2 is really powerful. We learned that with Nova, but I think she has the potential to be nutty the more ongoing stuff we get. But just with the current stuff we have, I just don't think it's there.
Yeah, I could see that.
Not saying I'm not going to lose to that deck as soon as we get done, but
yeah, it's probably going to happen. Okay, we've got Spider-Man.
Oh, Spider-Man. I think Spider-Man's a B. I like to play Spider-Man. I'm sure a lot of people are going to like to play Spider-Man. It's like a soft combo with Professor X, if you play it correctly. But I just don't think it's
flavor of a card, and
it's a good flavor. Amazing art.
Yeah. Spider-Woman.
Spider-Woman snuck out of D for me into the C tier. I play her in like one deck, but she gets cut sometimes too. She's like, if you play like the junk deck and you're handing them a bunch of rocks and goblins and negative cards, she comes down. She's like a 4/8 on a full lanes.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The math there, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes, it's like you don't have a lane where they're full, and then you're just playing her and not getting kind of the full effect. So
yeah.
Squirrel Girl
used to be a solid A. I think she's down to a B. She's good in like the super death decks that are just like trying to power her out. Plus, like, I guess she's even getting cut from there sometimes. But some people are still going to run Squirrel Girl in like the Killmonger decks because it's like what 3 there. You play like Hood, Squirrel Girl, and like an Iceman or something, and then blow them all up, and now your death's like pretty much free.
Yeah. Okay, I think our last Guardians of the Galaxy card. Oh, well, I guess Yondu, but it's a little different. But Star-Lord.
I think Star-Lord probably just hangs out with like Drax and the Bee.
Yeah. We've put Rocket there as well. I think he's pretty decent. But
nothing crazy, but decent.
Yeah. Storm.
Storm's not gonna make it past the B, I don't think. Well, nah. She makes it into the A because she's pretty pivotal in this like whole lane locky style deck.
Trying to force your opponent to play a certain way.
Yeah.
Okay, Strong Guy, changed to a 4 cost, right?
Yeah, Strong Guy. Does Strong Guy even see play anymore?
I
think Rescue's just better.
I barely see Strong Guy.
Yeah, I think Strong Guy's fallen down to a C. I don't even think you play it in like the Sarah Swarm decks anymore.
Yeah, I'd almost say D, but I mean, this is I'm going off of what you, but like my personal opinion, like
I think some people still hold on to it, and I think it's fine and like not a full tier list or a full collection. But once you've got a full collection, I think C or D is easily.
Okay, Sunspot.
Ooh, some people live and die by this card. I think it's kind of terrible right now. I'm gonna put it in B. I was gonna give it the benefit of a doubt of an A, but I actually just think it's a terrible card.
Yeah,
especially with all the Killmongers running. I guess if you like play some stupid stuff where you like armor your own Sunspot or something, or I guess you could put it under like a Professor X, but I just don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, I think there's better options. Because it's like to make it great, you don't want to like use your mana, right, or use your energy. So yeah. Swarm.
Swarm is just a B. Swarm was probably closer to an A back when the height of the discard deck, but I think it's just a filler, or not a filler, but it's a support card.
Yep. Okay, Swordmaster. Current state is a 3/6.
I love the change, especially coming up the collection level to like give people like a discard shell, but I still think it's just a B. Just kind of fits in with Gambit and Moon Knight, etc. You just kind of put them in your deck as discarders. But I think once you've got Gambit and Moon Knight, you probably don't pick up Swordmaster anymore.
Yeah. I don't really play with Swordmaster in my discard decks now. Taskmaster.
I think Taskmaster is an A. I think even right now, copying, you can like copy your dinos, you can copy your deaths, you can copy your big Deadpools. It's just He's got good power now, and he's got a lot of power coming forward, unlike any of the other cards that get printed that are like high power, low cost.
Yeah.
Anything that you can sneak in, that's 4 or 5, like wave something big on 4 and then cast him on 5, and then you still get to follow up with a 6-drop or an Iron Man or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely a fun card to play with. Collector. We've alluded to Collector many a time during this.
Yeah, Collector has kind of fallen into like the almost C tier here.
So you think still in B though?
I think B, because he kind of, I put some of the other cards that go in his deck here in B because they all kind of like support each other. I know Sentinel got bumped down to the C, but I think that's because there's other things you can play, like Cable and White Queen and some other things that kind of fit the deck a little better now.
Yeah.
Poor Collector. Collector used to be like S++.
Yeah, I was gonna literally say that S++. One of the best cards. Yeah. Not anymore. I
think Hood's A. He comes down. The -2 is typically not sticking around, but he makes a 1-cost 6-power demon, which is kind of insane.
Yeah, great in the destroy deck.
Great in the destroy deck. It's basically it's a 1-for-1. You play it down, you destroy it with your Carnage. Now your Carnage got the buff, and you've also got a 1-mana 6-power demon.
Yeah, so basically you're playing 3 energy over the 2 cards for 10 power.
10 power, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Infinite.
Just B. He's just like you're not. Some people hard cast him, I guess, when they play like Sunspot decks, but you're hardly ever hard casting him. You're either Ghost Rider in him back, or you're playing him in a Hella deck. I mean, it's 6-power 20.
That's the only way I play him. Yep. Yeah. Okay, the Punisher. You said something about him earlier.
I think Punisher's above cap right now. So I put him in the B tier. I think that's just because he's good support for the negative decks. He's starting to see a lot of play in like the Sarah negative decks because one, he's a 2/3 when he's flipped, but then if you got the Sarah down to now he's a 1/3, and then if it's in a full lane, what is he like a 1/8?
Yeah,
or 1/7.
Okay, we are at the Thing.
I think he doesn't make it past C tier, but he's close to B because he kind of is like better. I know we skipped Cyclops and put him in the C because I think once you make it past the 2s, you're not really playing any of the basic vanilla creatures. You're playing more like the tokens and Patriot,
Brood,
like Brood, yeah.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, Thing, I think just for the cost power isn't great even with that. Typhoid Mary. It's an interesting.
I think she's fine. I think she goes. I'm gonna put her in the C. I like her in like the Venom deck, but I just don't see her point outside of that deck. She could be cut for a lot of things, but she's good in just the one deck, the Venom deck.
Yeah. Okay, Uatu the Watcher.
Oh God, I think he's a D tier. I'm probably gonna get like shunned after that one.
Yeah, harassed online.
Yeah, I just don't think he's worth it. I mean, I get it in the 2-bro deck, but that's about it.
Yeah, I just think the power. I mean, it's a cool flavor, right? Like I like the idea of like his ability, like from like a Marvel perspective. But you have to draw him in the first 2 turns for him to be useful, or have him in your hand, and then it's like, yes, it's a little bit of power knowing what the locations are going to be, like the second or the third, but it's just not. I don't think it's a game changer very often.
Yeah.
Never, right?
Yeah, like never.
How do you feel about Ultron?
D.
Yeah.
It's like it's just
I tried to make them work for like one day.
So did I. You just like you have to play all in the middle, and then all of a sudden you have negative zone in the middle every time you try to play him.
Yeah. Yeah, not great right now. Venom.
Just play Doom.
Yeah, play Doom instead.
I think Venom's an A tier, and I think Venom's just going to keep getting better and better.
Yeah.
He's pretty. I like him over Deathlock, but only if you play the lanes correctly to eat. Sometimes you have to eat your 1 power 6 or your 1/6 demon from Hood, and that's okay because it counts as a destroy trigger, and the power doesn't necessarily disappear, and you freed up a slot. So I mean,
Yep.
I think Venom just is a pivotal part of this new like Deadpool death deck. And it has like the most enablers because you're running like the full package. You're running like Carnage, Venom, and Deathlock.
Yeah. Okay, how do you feel about Viper? Where does Viper go?
I think she's C. She's okay, and like the deck that I play, the Krampus, where you like can give them the Hood, give them an extra rock, give them a Raptor to fill up their lane. But that's don't try to play her with Electro, people. Come on. You're wasting your time. Unless they like make an Electro like a 2-drop or something, then it's fine. But.
Yeah. Okay, how do you feel about the Vision?
I think Vision went to a C after you unlock Captain Marvel. I don't play. I think you can play him sometimes in like the Lockjaw decks because like you can like wasp into him or something and then like move him out and have an extra spot. But how often are you actually moving him? I think Captain Marvel just kind of fills the role better.
Yeah, I almost wonder if he was like a 4-cost and slightly lower power, if it'd be better. I'm not sure.
A 4/6 would be awesome because then you can move him a few times.
Yeah. Yep. Vulture.
A. Without Vulture, I don't think move has a chance.
Yeah, Vulture is very powerful in the move deck. Okay, we're down to our last 10 or so. We've got Warpath.
Just a B. He's fine in the ongoings or the destroyer decks, but I don't think he's past rescue anymore personally. Rescue kind of lets you play like multiple lanes and still get off like 9 power.
Yeah. Yep. I agree. I think he like you said, he's got that place in that destroyer deck where you're not with all the lanes, but kind of limited in his options. Okay, we've got Wave.
I think Wave is an S tier. She enables so much crazy crap in this game.
Yeah. Definitely, like, obviously her being a season pass card originally, right? Like, that we haven't seen. I don't think we've seen Daredevil or Thor, meet her level of enablement.
Speaking of which, I don't see them here on our list.
So I was gonna just at the end ask you to the tool we're using doesn't have them yet. But I was gonna ask you to kind of place them as well.
Yeah.
So White
Queen, she's a C tier. I think they buffed her. I want to say, right? She's like,
it used to be if they had a 6-cost card in their hand, it would clone them, but now it's just the highest cost card in their hand.
Yeah, I mean, I slap her in every time I try Collector or Dino again, but she can be cut, easily.
Yeah, she's kind of the first to go there. Where would you put White Tiger?
She goes good in like the Odin decks. I think she's a B. Negative deck, Odin deck. She's a filler. I don't think she makes it past a B right now. She has like a 1/5 when she's flipped, but I still think the deck can survive without her.
Yeah, there's other options. Wolfsbane.
I like Wolfsbane a lot. I think Wolfsbane's still a B card, but like once Wolfsbane's flipped to like a 1/3 and then +2 for each card in lane, it's kind of insane.
Yeah.
Pretty good in like a Lockjaw deck because you can play it and then she buffs and then goes back in the deck and then she can buff again later.
Yeah, can be pretty powerful. Wolverine. You alluded to Wolverine earlier.
I think Wolverine's a little higher than Saber Tooth because of the RNG of jumping around. Like, obviously, Nightcrawler got put in my S because it's controlled. Wolverine can like RNGs this you into like Sanctorum sometimes or something, and kind of shows up in the Destroy decks from time to time. Obviously, like one of the first cards cut, but I still think it's higher than Saber Tooth.
So probably like a B.
Yeah, B.
Okay, Wong.
I think Wong's an S tier.
Agreed. Yeah.
Like it enables some stupid stuff. Like Wong with Mystique and then Ironheart, and you're just like 4 triggers. Or Gambit. Of course, if you do like Onslaught into Mystique, into Wong, into stuff, it's pretty much GG. But and obviously that's enabled by like Wave. But
yeah. Okay, Yondu.
Yondu is the most snappable, probably lose you cubes card. Because you'll like, oh, I just hit their key card. I'm gonna snap, and then you still get destroyed. But I still think he's really good at like goes up with the disruption package up in the A's.
Yeah, definitely a fun one to play. Okay, and then we've got Zero.
Zero obviously only goes in Zero decks, which is kind of like a Venom deck too, in my opinion. That might. I know some people just want to play it alongside like Typhoid and Red Skull and some stuff like that, but I think it's B tier. I think it could be A tier later if we get some like bigger stuff.
Yeah.
I noticed we're missing one other card.
Was it Red Skull?
Red Skull.
Yeah, well, you literally just said that. I was like, you know what? We didn't do Red Skull. So let's start there. We've got a couple more. Let's do Red Skull first.
I think Red Skull's just B, kind of fits in with Zero. He's higher than Typhoid Mary, but doesn't make it into the A because he's not in a deck on his own. Although it's funny to like Red Skull somebody's lane just so you can Shang-Chi it. That's just kind of cute stuff.
Yeah. Okay, and then where would you put Thor?
I think Thor is like a B. I've seen people make decks out of him. I just don't think he was. After coming off of Wave, it's like,
Yeah.
He's okay.
Definitely kind of felt like this is less impactful.
Yeah.
Well, then where would you go? Mighty Thor, Jane Foster.
Same. Just B. She kind of fits in the same vein. She's a support card. She goes in the negative deck, but she definitely doesn't need to, you don't have to have her.
Yeah. It's just kind of a little bit of an extra combo.
Yeah.
And then I believe last, most recent card, Daredevil.
I think Daredevil's an A because he enabled I think he really pushed the Destroyer deck up a tier, and then kind of got a lot of people brewing around with more like controlling type things. You get to see it pushed Professor X up too. Yeah, because now you get to see where the Goblin, you get to see where the Professor X. You laid your rescue down, and now they're gonna go swarm over there, and you're like, yeah, well, I'm just gonna go play a Professor X over on right now.
Yeah.
So I think he's an A, and I think he's just gonna keep getting better the more tech cards and reactive cards we get in the game. Yeah.
Well, awesome. That was quite the adventure. We went through all the cards. And one thing I'm observing as I'm looking through the tier list we've kind of built out here, I think what you want to see is the majority of the cards probably being in the A to B tier range. I think that represents a healthy meta. There's lots of cards you can use. Now, we're not, you didn't say this, and I'm not saying this either. I don't think we're saying you can't use any of the C cards, right? The D cards,
I use plenty of them.
D cards are a little hard, right?
Yeah, I use plenty of the C cards. Just they can easily be the first thing cut if something comes along better, or you want to try a different tech card, or try a different slot. They're typically the first things cut.
Yeah. So I think at least what this shows to me, right? I think this is just one point of view, but it kind of shows a healthy meta. There's lots of cards, lots of options, lots of different combinations. You don't want to see too many cards in S tier or too many cards in the D tier, right? But yeah, I think overall this kind of gives us a good picture of that there's potentially a good spread right now.
Yeah,
but I obviously know the developers aren't done, tweaking and making adjustments as needed.
Yeah, not at all. And I think they're doing pretty good with balancing. I think they have a heavy hand though, but I do think they react in a timely manner for what we are right now, like in the beta. I think it's going to get a little quicker as the game launches, but that's also slightly worrying because, like, if enough people complain about a card and they have the tech just to roll it server side, are we just going to see like nerfs and buffs like weekly?
Yeah.
So,
which could start to feel not great, but
not too good, right?
Yeah. Well, awesome. Krakenol, really appreciate you being willing to do this. I think this was a great thing for the listeners just to kind of hear somebody who's you actually have tried out every card at least once, right? So you can kind of give your thoughts and opinions. But listeners, if you enjoyed this, let us know. We will be posting the tier list we built. We'll be posting it on Twitter, so you guys can take a look at that after you've listened and let us know your thoughts. But before we go, I just want to give you a chance, obviously, to tell the listeners where they can find you, how they can consume the content you're creating, and how they can best support you.
Yeah, so most of the content right now is via me just posting deck list on Twitter and in the Discord, and just kind of like getting feedback from people and just talking about the deck. I have started streaming this one, not as consistent as I should be, but my tentative schedule are Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then maybe some sneaky weekend ones. And then, of course, I do have a YouTube channel, which is a little easier to maintain than just popping in and streaming on Twitch. So both of them are YouTube is Krakenol, and then Twitch is Krakenol, and Twitter is Krakenol.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. It was a pleasure to have you on. And listeners, again, make sure to go check out the tier list. Let us know your thoughts. Are there any big disagrees with what Krakenol has shared? Let us know on Twitter. Let us know on Discord. And we will talk to you in the next episode.
Thank you.
Can't Stop Snapping is a podcast written, recorded, produced, and hosted by Michael Thurman. Thanks for listening.